Hey everyone, I'm here at PAX East 2015 here in Boston. One of the interesting events this year, for the first time ever, an Evolve esports tournament. For the first time, obviously the game came out in February. And I'm here with some of the winners of that tournament, pushing Daisies, 3 of the 5 members. And I'll have you guys introduce yourselves real quick.
So I'm Zach Hildreth. My gamer tag is MadCow, and I'm from Provo, Utah.
My name is David Fletcher, aka Pierce Price. I'm from Logan, Utah.
And Dan Johnson, aka Black Aegis, and I'm from New Haven, Connecticut.
Great. So I'm really curious, guys. I mean, the experience of being a part of the first real tournament for something, the first live tournament for a game, for an asymmetrical game especially, it's got to be like really strange and unique. Like there's a lot of unknown variables and stuff like that. Can you walk me through how you guys prepared for an event like this?
So we had lots and lots of time to practice. We were figuring out our roles on the team, getting our communication down, because we never met each other before a week and a half ago, basically. Like, we knew of each other in the community, but it was all about getting together, getting the team going, and just working on our strategy and tactics.
Great. And what about your competition? As I understand that, 2K pulled together ex-Halo players, ex-Counter-Strike players, like streamers and stuff like that, a variety of people. Was it even really possible to look into the backgrounds of these folks or look into their strategies or?
I think for the most part, we all just winged it. Like, we've all had a little bit of experience gaming, but for the most part, I don't think any of us have really done anything super competitive. I know Aegis, he recruited me directly because of a recommendation, and that's all he had to go on. So really kind of a freak team, I guess you could say, just kind of thrown together. But we did really well. I think we worked together great.
I put together the team based on, these two guys at least, based on recommendations from the developers. And just kind of using my past competitive experience, just wanted to make the best team possible. As far as researching all the other teams, I watched a lot of their streams, researched them to see how they played, at least the ones who streamed, to get an idea of whether or not they were going to be serious competition or not. And I know a lot of the players, they were just getting into it too. Especially the CS:GO players, they didn't really play it all that much, so they're just learning.
So what do you guys say? I mean, the game is about a month old at this point. What are the secrets to playing Evolve at this high level as it stands right now? Like, what do you have to do right? What's going through your head while you're playing? Like, what's your approach for playing a game like this? Because it's compared to other competitive games, especially like Counter-Strike, it's pretty unique.
Absolutely, one of the most important things, especially from the hunter side, is you have to work on teamwork. This game, you can't YOLO, you can't be the last man standing. In Counter-Strike, you can be the last person left and you can wipe out an entire team if you're good enough. In this game, if one person goes down, your team is effectively 50% at strength at best. And so you really, really, really have to focus on that teamwork. And so at high-level competition, I think it's more about anticipating where your opponent is as opposed to mechanical skill. Figuring out, if I was in his shoes, where would I go? Where's the best place to go? And it's all about knowing your opponent and being able to combat that more than actual just mechanical skill, I believe.
The game really is a game about positioning more than anything else. Sure, it's a first-person shooter, so you have to be accurate, but a lot of the weapons are a little bit more forgiving, and it's more about the positioning of yourself and your teammates relative to each other, and high ground, low ground elevation, and just having the proper positioning that really, really wins games for you.
Gotcha. I'm curious if you guys, how much you're changing your hunters based on the map. Can the map effect perhaps? Or did you play with map effects off? I'm trying to remember. But anyway, what hunters are most favored? What monsters were most favored throughout the tournament? Did anybody emerge as like a clear favorite for this kind of format, a competitive tournament for Evolve?
We definitely saw a lot of familiar lineups. Almost everyone ran Kyra. I think everyone actually ran Markov on their team. Trappers alternated between all 3 of them fairly consistently. Griffin was probably the least represented, which was one we actually used. And then when it comes to the support, we saw both Hank and Cabot, roughly equal, I would say. And so I think there was a good coverage for most everything. As for the map, we wouldn't really, I don't think the hunters really changed up too much depending on the map, but the monster did. The monster really takes a lot into effect with the map and go, okay, which one would be better here, Goliath or Kraken? And so you go, do I want to be favored towards a map win, or what monster do I feel more comfortable with? So that makes a big decision.
So again, at this level, how does a monster player approach playing competitive Evolve? What's different in competitive Evolve than you might see on a public server?
So competitively, the monster really has to be on his toes with the hunter's positions, because just in a public server, you can pretty much focus anyone down that you want to. But against a real team, you have to have like astounding focus, because if you slip up even once, you're gonna have the hunter healed, the hunter shielded. Just everything will be 1,000 times harder. I remember the first good team I fought, I just swore, like there was like 1,000,000 times more harpoons, all of their abilities were faster, and I didn't understand it. But as I got more used to that, you see how a good hunter team works together, and you really have to be a lot more careful with your positioning and your focus as monster against a competitive team. It's absolutely required.
Gotcha. And can you guys kind of walk me through in general what your strategy is? I mean, on the hunter side, say, do you go for an easy, are you trying to wall them in? Are you trying to like gain map control? Are you spreading out at the outset completely? Teams of two, stuff like that?
It actually depends on how the game starts off. If the monster is spotted right away, then typically you can stay as a group and all four can chase. If you really don't know where the monster is and there's no tracks, then yeah, you want to spread out. Typically, if we do a split, we'll do a 2-2, so the assault and the medic will kind of go in the direction where the monster's supposed to be and try and flush the monster out. Meanwhile, Trapper and support kind of stay more towards the middle of the map. And as soon as you get a ping on the location of the monster, you're looking to cut them off, at a diagonal. That way you can get that dome off as efficiently as possible. And there's other sorts of splits and things like that you can run too. Sometimes running a 3-1 with support cloaking, like everyone, and the Trapper off by themselves. Sometimes that works. We've done that before. A lot of it is really situational, I would say. There's all different sorts of other kinds of situations that can pop up, especially over the course of a series of competitive matches. And having a number of different tactics really tends to work out the best. But at least for starting off, I'd always recommend running a 2-2 split and keeping that support and Trapper in the middle.
Gotcha. And I'm going to go down the line here. What's your guys' least favorite monster to play against?
I don't know. I like playing against all of them. Probably a good Kraken, just because with Kraken, all the monsters play so differently, and with Kraken, it's more about surviving than doing damage to the monster, because you're going to end up doing damage to the monster. The biggest thing is not to take strikes, and so you have to play more defensively than aggressively against most Krakens. So I'd probably say Kraken's my least favorite to play against.
What about you?
Definitely Goliath. If you fight a Goliath who's really good with his rock throws and he can just like focus you and ragdoll you the whole time, that is the most annoying thing in Evolved. Wraith gets a lot of bad publicity, I think, and she can be frustrating, but not nearly as much as a good Goliath, in my opinion.
What about yourself?
I could say Wraith, like so many other people, but no, I have to agree with Zach, actually. It's the Kraken. When you fight a really, really good Kraken, it's downright scary, and it's not fun.
Terrific. So walk me through your guys' final match, which I understand was a really close match, one of the best ones of the tournament. Who was your opponent? How did you guys face off? What were your styles like in comparison to each other? And how did you win?
Well, the opponents we faced up against were comprised of members from Team KPB and Vexed, who were the finalists and the winners, the runner-ups of the Chappie Challenge. So they were quite a good team. They were all console players, and I think they amply proved that they put to rest that myth that console players can't hang with PC players. They did an amazing job, and they really put up a challenge. I was blown away, actually. I wasn't expecting it personally.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think in the monster side, I played it with controller and it felt very comfortable, but I can't imagine playing hunters without mouse and keyboard. You guys are PC gamers, thank goodness. But walk me through some of the details of your strategies a little bit more in that final match. Like, you guys are coming into this not necessarily having like a ton of team chemistry even established. You barely know each other. You haven't played together a whole lot. Like, how do you sort of account for that in terms of communication and tactics?
Well, the first thing we do is we over-communicate. I can't stress that enough. If you're not communicating, you're not winning. Especially if the team hasn't worked together very much and very well. Communication is definitely the most important part. And especially with computer, you can ping using Q. That's unbelievably useful.
Yeah, same thing. I think the biggest thing for us was have a general strategy, figure out the best way to adapt because the situation is very fluid once you hit the ground. But having an overall strategy lets you stay focused until you need to change and adapt. And I think that for us, the most important thing was focusing on our core gameplays, formations, chasing this and that, and not worrying too much about the high-level stuff because that we wouldn't have time to practice for that. So basically, we were just trying to do the best that we could with the rules that we were provided, and then work from there and see where the team naturally evolved to, because that's how it worked out the best.
I see what you did there. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down the line one more time and ask you guys to give a specific tip in Evolve for people that are playing the game at whatever level to improve their game on either side of the monster or the hunters.
The biggest things I can say is watch people who know what they're doing and that give commentary on why they do what they do. There's a lot of little nuances and hidden mechanics that most people will never figure out without being told what they are, and that makes a really, really big difference. And don't be afraid to lose. Take chances, because your playstyle might be completely different than what the current meta is, but it might be one of the best ones out there.
All right, one thing I see a lot of newer players not do that they really should is bunny hop. Anytime you're dropping a mine, anytime you're firing your gun, dropping a turret, whatever it is, always just tap your spacebar. It won't use jetpack, and you won't slow down. Normally firing or dropping stuff slows you down a lot, but if you're trying to keep on the monster, always bunny hop.
Good one. Nice.
These guys took the two best pieces of advice and stole them. But yeah, in all seriousness, watch Twitch TV, get involved, talk to some of the streamers, find the good ones who offer advice and tips. Get to know them, pay attention to what they do. That's one of the best things that you can do for learning quickly. And that's for any game almost now, I would say.
Great. Well, congratulations again, guys. It's got to be really exciting to kind of come together in an event like this and with people that you don't have a ton of familiarity with, form a team and win together. It's got to be really fun. So congrats again. Hope to see you at future Evolve tournaments, I guess.
Too. Absolutely.
Well, congrats. Thanks.